it's Sunday, it's the last day of Esxence, and Basenotes is here with James Heeley of his eponymous brand, here to talk to us a bit about the brand and about his new fragrance. So James, firstly, just tell us a bit about the background of James Heeley.
Well, the background is, it's a bit complicated. I'll try and be brief because I tend to speak too much. It's one of my faults.
Very English, I have the same problem.
Yeah, I started really designing perfume. I didn't really actually, well, I say designing perfume, I'm a designer. I'm a product designer, and I started my work as a designer was based around floral design, and I worked with a very famous florist in Paris. That was about 10 years ago, and in working with him, I met Annie Goutal, who's one of the first niche perfumers, not one of the first, but a niche perfumer, and as I was fascinated by floral design, I then obviously smelt smelt flowers and wanted to know what was, discover more about the olfactive world, and that took me to basically arrived here today making perfumes. So that's been like a 10-year sort of learning experience, and I started really making perfume like you learn to cook. I mean, like you start to make an omelette, and then you get on to making scrambled eggs, and then a souffle. And people ask, what is a nose? And really, there's no real, this is a bit of a misnomer in the perfume world. What is a nose? A nose is like a chef. And people have different ways of becoming a nose. I'm not really a nose. I'm somebody that puts perfume together. And I've come really from, I'm autodidact, as you'd say in French. I'm sorry, I'm losing a bit of my English as I've lived for so long in France. But yeah, I basically learned along the way to make perfume, and I'm still learning, because that's what's interesting about scent, is that it's almost endless.
And what inspires you? Where do you get your ideas from? And how do you begin to turn those ideas and inspirations into a fragrance?
I think they come from. It's a very difficult question to answer, because it's like saying, where does, if you're a writer, where do you, or if you're an artist, where does your art come from? But it's a mix between personal experience, memory, of course, because memory is something extremely important. And in fact, when somebody says, people expect that a nose, or somebody who works in the fragrance industry, to have this amazingly sensitive nose, like some kind of dog who can smell, lamb chops from 5 miles away. It's absolutely nothing to do with having a highly sensitive nose. We all have sensitive nose, like we all have eyesight. It's simply about being able to memorize certain scents and then put them together to make an interesting scent. So it really comes from what you like and what you dislike, and that tends to change as you do things. You discover scents. I started out liking very fresh scents, like things like mint, all the citrus notes, and then working, you then discover that there's a lot more to the olfactive word than just lemon, mint, and lavender and rose and what have you, and that there are all sorts of ingredients out there, both natural and synthetic. And again, this is another debate. Natural and synthetic is another big debate, but there's just a whole world of things out there, and it's about discovery, and I'm learning as I go along.
And do you have a particular stance on the natural synthetic debate, or?
Well, I do. I kind of think we just have to try and use our common sense, because the media are talking about it. The world is talking about natural and synthetic in food, in product, and of course in synthetics. And of course, agricultural farming is very different to, for example, or we're looking at it from a different angle in terms of perfume, because I often say that natural synthetic, does that mean a perfume is good or bad? Is natural good and is synthetic bad, or is synthetic good or natural bad? In fact, it depends on what angle you look at it, because you could say that there are a lot of natural products which are good for you, and there are a lot of natural products which are extremely bad for you. And it's not because it's natural that it's good for you. Of course, you don't go around eating mushrooms when there are all types of mushrooms, and some of them good, some of them not so good. some of them fantastic, but that's and it's not just about if it's good or bad for you. It's also a question of, is it good or bad for the environment? Now, there's this whole debate about organic farming and organic products, where they come from. But if you take, I often use this as an example, if you take orange extract in perfumery, it takes roughly, to make 1 liter of orange extract that you can use in a perfume, it takes roughly 1,000 kilos. That's a ton of oranges to extract 1 liter. So, of course, oranges, they take a lot of water. They tend to grow in southern Europe, Spain and Italy, where water is a problem, and therefore the soil is a sensitive issue. So if you take all these oranges, you press them, that goes to extract the perfume, that goes back into the ground as pulp, that's full of acid. So I tend to say, okay, natural is great, it's fantastic using natural ingredients, we use a lot, but at the end of the day, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not a scientist, but I think we have to ask intelligent questions. Is it a good use of natural resources? Sandalwood in India has disappeared because of the perfume industry. So should we be using synthetics to replace naturals in some instances? And I think the two have to go hand in hand. And at the end of the day, it's about quality and it's about the result. And I just think we have to balance, put things in perspective and try and find a good balance between natural and synthetics. And I don't think you should just say it's bad because it's synthetic, it's good because it's natural. I think they both have to work hand in hand. And I'm not a scientist, but it's just, I think we have to use that common sense.
I think there are certainly lots of what we'd call perfumistas out there that would agree with you, that it's about common sense, and sometimes the lines are blurred. Lots of people say that they're against using chemicals in their fragrance. Well, everything is a chemical, Of
Exactly.
course, it's about demystifying those terms and opening the debate, which is hopefully what we do with the site.